12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
All right, good morning to the West Coast. Good afternoon to the East Coast. This is Crystal Jordan with Lenox Parker here with our publisher,
Victor Flavius. How you doing, Crystal? What's going on?
Good morning. How are you this Monday?
I'm well. I'm well. I slept pretty good last night, so I'm good, refreshed.
It looks very bright there. It's very bright.
Yes, it's sunny out today, real sunny out today. So
yeah.
I can't, the weather here has been beautiful. It's 56 right now, about to be 68 for the high. So I can't, feels like summertime here.
Yeah, well, it's 33 degrees here. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've got my hot chocolate here, and but things actually weren't as bad as people thought they were going to be, and that's a blessing, But I do think, I know I am here in Atlanta, and our governor and all the mayors of all the different cities in the state of Georgia were definitely prepared for the worst. Thankfully, the worst did not happen. This time we didn't have snow here. I'm a little bit northeast of Atlanta, but there were some areas that did have snow. But
you got ice though, right? A lot of ice.
Ice, but you know what? The ice wasn't that bad. The ice, we do have ice, but it didn't happen again after yesterday morning. So I think a lot will probably melt if it gets any warmer. I mean, it's 12 o'clock and we're at 33, so it may not get that much warmer. But unless we have more precipitation, I think we should be okay.
I think that, what is it? 34 degrees or 32 degrees is when it starts to snow, when snow can happen. So if it gets to be a little warmer, sun comes out, you should be good to go.
I mean, for what they were explaining, the funny thing, it was not funny, but of course, hey, good morning, good afternoon, Shanika, or Sheena K. I think that was, you gotta be safe and sorry, but because we heard this storm was coming, I got caught in the last storm. I think I mentioned that to you before. We had snow again here in Atlanta, and we were just not prepared with the streets, and people were on the road. School buses were stuck with children not able to school, not able to get home from school. And it was a huge state of emergency here in Atlanta. I got caught in that. Understand, wanting to make sure you do everything not to get caught again in that. But the stores were empty. I mean, Publix, Kroger's, right by my house, totally bread gone, milk gone, water. It was just, people panicked and bought the entire store. And then, so now we're gonna have a lot of surplus in their homes because I think it's pretty much probably by later today the roads will be okay if we do, because when people are on the road. Yeah, but the stores are probably gonna take a little while to replace that, because I mean people wiped out the stores trying to make sure that they had food in case they weren't able to get out their house. So I did fall into that. I went grocery shopping and got a lot of things, but I didn't go to that next level. And now I'm glad I didn't. Everything is fine. But it looks like even though inflation is high, when people get panicked, they still find the money to
gotta survive. Yeah, you gotta survive. I mean, it's good to have a couple of groceries in your house more than just a day. I remember the days when I was growing up, we would go to the grocery store maybe once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
My mom would do a major shopping. We'll all pile into the car and we'll go to the store and we'll shop for whatever goods.
Right.
And that was it. Now it's like I'm at Trader Joe's every 10 minutes.
Well, do you think that both of us are empty nesters, right? Our children, children are grown. When my children were little, I would do big grocery shopping because I had, my son ate he had a bottomless pit for a stomach.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But now that it's just my husband and I don't go big grocery shopping. I probably pop to the grocery store, pop in about 2 or 3 times a week. and just get little things, and then but I'm happy doing that. That's the one thing I do like about empty nest. I don't have to do all of that shopping all the time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well,
What we got
let's
going
get
on?
into it. We got really, really troubling. I know you got some troubling news that happened over the weekend, more with ICE, right?
Yeah. We got well, we'll do the weather first, right? So I guess the weather, it's crazy
Yeah.
out there, the news, you've seen the weather to those who, well, the East Coast, I would say.
Yeah.
Thousands of flights were canceled and delayed. About 3,800 flights were canceled and 1,000 delayed this morning. Mostly American Airlines, Delta, JetBlue. It's pretty bad out there. The grounds are just covered with snow and ice. Ice is the main problem that we have right now in this country. Freezing rain, heavy snow, power lines down all the way from Tennessee to the Carolinas. Right now in Boston, they're getting hit pretty hard.
Oh, wow.
So, just got to keep people in prayer, I guess, at this point, because again, it's not even so much the snow, but it's the ice that bogs the lines down and disrupts internet service. Power lines go out, and a lot of people are being affected this morning by it. But that is, ice that we deal with weather-wise, but we're also dealing with ice on the ground that somehow seem to be hard to get rid of. We had over the weekend, as everyone has turned on the news that's alive, could see federal immigration enforcement have escalated nationwide. In Minneapolis, the escalation has turned deadly. 3 people now have been killed by ICE-related incidents, sparking protests and national scrutiny. Over the weekend, Alex Peretti, U.S. citizen, ICU nurse, was killed by Border Patrol agents during a protest. And there's been a lot of videos. Have you seen the videos? There's been a lot of videos circulating, different angles.
Yeah, I refuse to
Well,
watch.
I watched it because you got to be informed of how you got to be informed for 2 things. 1, inform yourself, and 2, the narrative that's being spun by the administration and by mainstream media is that he was carrying a weapon, brandishing a weapon, and that he was being disruptive. And if you watch the video from different angles at different times, you'll see this man was videotaping, and he was directing traffic to leave the area. He was videotaping, and then he walked over to where an ICE agent was assaulting a woman. This ICE agent pushed this woman out a protester out the way, pushed her down. So he got in between them to kind of block the ICE agent from hitting her. And the ICE agent pepper sprayed this man in his face and the woman in her face. Then they grabbed him, and all of them came over, and that's where he got killed. They said he was brandishing a weapon. Well, first of all, he was he had rights to carry a weapon on him. And so in the video, if you look at the video that is seen on the internet, the ICE agents grabbed the gun from him and walk away. So he didn't have a gun. He had a gun on him, but they took it from him, and then they walked away. As they took the gun from him, they started firing on him 10 times. Now, he got shot 10 times on the ground for just being a citizen, protesting his rights. And so now what the narrative is that he was a threat to national security. This man was a disruptor. He's a domestic terrorist. These are all the narratives being spun by the administration and those that are in charge. And the crazy part is that because ICE agents are federal employees, they have this blanket immunity. So now if they go to court, they can be out of if it's deemed just by the administration or by the law, that person gets off of whatever happened to this young man being killed. He was only 37 years old. He worked in Veterans Hospital. So
let me ask you this, because I said I didn't watch it just because it's hard to watch, right? But my husband watched. My husband's a former, he's a veteran, and he said what he was explaining to me, and he said he's on the ground, and they shot him while he was on the ground. Is that what you saw?
Yep. He was on the ground. They had about 7 or 8 ICE agents on this man. One of the ICE agents grabbed the gun and walked away with his gun, and then they fired on him 10 times.
That's why I just can't. I cannot understand, even visualize. Like, if a person is on the ground and and you have manpower to, overpower him, and he does not have a weapon, what grounds to shoot 10 times would there possibly be? I'm just, I try to look at, like, that just sounds like, how does that happen in our country where someone who was we know as African Americans, we definitely have been here before, unfortunately.
Yes.
But I'm just wondering what is the narrative that would explain how those ICE agents felt their lives were in jeopardy if this man is on the ground and unarmed?
I don't think that the narrative about being in jeopardy is the issue. I think one of the issues is two of the issues. One of them is many of these ICE agents are not trained at all. Like, there was a video showing this lady who she went to the ICE agency. She signed up for the ICE agency, and she got passed through. It was a pass through for employment as an ICE agent. She did not want the job. She told them she didn't want the job. They pretty much pushed through her application and made her an agent. So what they're doing is they're hiring people, anybody off the street, pretty much, to be part of ICE. So you're not talking about someone who is trained or someone who has, extensive training in dealing with de-escalation, or anything at all. You're talking about anyone off the street that with a pulse, pretty much. So these guys aren't trained, federal agents. They're not trained policemen. They're not trained militia. Some of them are, but it seems like the ones who are doing it are not. And then the second part is, when you're given pretty much a blank slate, blank check, go do what you got to do under any circumstances, you're not thinking of that person as anything. First of all, a lot of these instances, if you look at the news, you don't even have to look at the killings. They're just throwing flash bombs and they're throwing smoke grenades into the crowds and hitting kids and parents and people who are protesting. Anyone who's been trained knows when to throw it, how to throw it, where to throw it. There's different things that happen in training that people, that have been in combat know about. And so what Donald Trump and the administration has done is pretty much made their own militia on the American soil, and it's causing pretty much civil war right now. And it's going to get worse if they don't stop. And I don't know. It's just bad.
It is very bad. I'm not going to show this clip because we just haven't. But I really, there's a powerful clip that my mother sent me of a priest.
Okay.
Refusing. Did you see that? A priest refusing to allow ICE agents into the cathedral, right?
Right.
Beautiful cathedral. I'm assuming it's in Minneapolis, and they are trying to come in to, I guess, take people, arrest people, pull them out of the service, and the priest is standing there yelling, "You will not come in here. You have no jurisdiction in here," and protecting. People are standing behind him, protecting him, and it just it was a lot of people were commenting. It's a viral clip, and people were saying that thank God for that man for standing his ground, because even as he's talking to them, they are inching closer and closer in their black masks over their face and their gun. And he says, you don't have any jurisdiction here. So I just it's heartbreaking, and it just doesn't feel like America. This feels like there is a new world order, and I definitely meant that as I said it, but at least that is not allowed. But I don't see that. It's not anything that you would ever think you would see happening here. This man is attempting to protect people, innocent people, and these agents are just standing out there trying to threaten him with their presence. I just think, what is this country like? This is not what we stand for.
If you look at the video, which you haven't seen, if you look at the video, what's his name again? Alex stands between the ICE agent and the woman, and the ICE agent pulls out his pepper spray and close range, like empties the pepper spray on Alex's face and the woman's face. So at that point, you pretty much taken the threat down because you pepper sprayed a person close range in their face.
Oh my gosh.
So there's no way that this man was trying to fight with you if he's trying to defend himself. He's turning his face away and you're pepper spraying him, and then he's on the ground already. So he's already on the ground. This is no longer an immigration debate. It's a question of federal power, public safety, and how many lives are lost during accountability follows. And it's just a bad time. And people who voted for Trump, those who wanted immigrants to get out of this country, this is not about, because the last two people who've been killed, a white woman and a white man. And if those people who are quote unquote citizens of this country are being killed by people who look like them, then
that's when change could potentially happen. I got a good friend of mine sent me a video that basically was a African American woman saying, you know what, we tried to tell you all. At this point, we see that we should stand on the side and mind our own business, because now it's affecting the people that, they were fine when things were happening to us.
Right.
The way Minneapolis looks when it happened to George Floyd, I think there were a lot of people that felt like that was wrong, black and white and brown. But I do think there a lot of times if things do not directly affect you, it's hard to feel, empathy or even to feel like you need to fight for, a different situation or a different outcome. But now that we see, like you said, this is happening to Americans that fit the standard of what they feel like America is. That's been the whole thing, is take America back and protect white men and white women. And now they are realizing that they are not safe in this regime either. So the clip was suggesting that we should not, as African Americans, get involved. We should mind our business. I don't feel like there's a way for us to do that. I know it sounds cute. It makes a great, it sounds good on social media, but realistically, everybody is in danger. And
pretty much.
You can't turn a blind eye when this is where we live. Our children are here. I mean, I don't even know what, at this point, it is dangerous to be protesting. And that is, we have always had, that's not true. Because protesters were, during the civil rights era, were attacked.
Dogs on them, fire hydrant, fire hoses. Yeah.
It does feel eerily like we're moving backwards, but we're taking the whites with us. They are, they are now.
No. I think the whites have been affected in the 60s too. It just wasn't televised.
But I think it was the whites that were advocates
in college.
They were advocates of and supporting after.
Yes, I agree.
Right. So I guess that there's always been an issue there, but I think when we're talking about killing, it's still very different. When they are. I mean, and it's just.
Yeah, how do you kill someone? How do you fire 10 shots on a person and it just doesn't make any? But we've seen it in our community for the last 400, 500 years.
That can happen. I'm not gonna lie. When my husband was telling me about it, I was just it's crazy that I've been conditioned to think when that happens to a black man, oh yeah, that sometimes can happen. But it shocked me that ICE killed a white man laying on the ground unarmed and that had been pepper sprayed.
Yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
not about, it's like I said, it's not about immigration anymore. Immigration was just a way how to get in. But now that what they're trying to do is normalize troops on the ground. Can you imagine? We've seen movies. We've seen tons of movies before. The scenario plays out where there's some type of disease control happening, some type of martial law for natural disasters. Then it turns into chaos and there's civil war. There's a whole bunch of movie scenarios in the last 15, 20 years that we can all say we've seen on TV. And what they're trying to do is normalize troops on the ground. They're trying to normalize this combat situation in America where there are police everywhere, a police state. It's just bad. And Minnesota and Minneapolis, it's just bad. you know,
It
and I don't
is.
know.
I think we have to, I definitely, we definitely are people that are Christians and believe that, prayer is really important. Because I'll be honest with you, Victor. I have I have a son and a daughter. I know you have children as well.
Yeah.
And my son is, he's definitely an activist. I'm proud of that, but that scares me. Even more so. I mean, when during 2020 he led a Black Lives Matter chapter. He was always out protesting. He was leading protests with other students because he was working on his master's. He was leading protests with students. And he's been doing a lot of social, just informing people about what's happening. And it scares me, but it's almost like, we can't stay silent, but I do think we have to be very aware of the danger of how they're moving and what could potentially happen. So it just, as a mother, it scares me for my husband, for my son, for my daughter, just because at this point, like you said, no one is safe. And advocates or people that are peacefully protesting murder. And that puts them at the mercy of these ICE agents. I want to ask a question because Tammy said something. Hold on, I'll pull up the comments. We've got people commenting. Please share your comments. We would definitely want to continue to have a conversation about this. But Tammy says when he pardoned, meaning Trump pardoned the Proud Boys, he gave them a job with ICE. That is shocking.
Yeah. But these guys want they want the smoke. They want the smoke. That's what they want to smoke. They want to come out. Yeah.
And they are doing it in the name of trying to rid this country from everyone that does not look like them. And they are not afraid to take out some people that look like them if they're able to get what they want. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I've always had this belief. This is my personal belief that when the Constitution says citizens of the country, they're not talking about me or you who are black and brown. Because the federal law says we're citizens. Yeah, we're considered citizens of this country. Mm-hmm. But in most counties and state places, when you're dealing with the local government, they don't have to recognize, if they don't want to, on the local level, you as a citizen. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we heard what the government's saying, but the law is saying, but in this county, I'm the law, and I'm saying I don't recognize you. So we walk around as citizens, but I feel like in most times, they don't consider us citizens. They still look at us like we're,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
no one is safe. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's at everyone's door. We're all in danger. I do think people are seeing that now. You
gotta pray when you wake up in the morning. You gotta pray before you go out the door. Like, listen, because you never know. Now they're telling you gotta walk with identification, just in case they pull you over to see if you're a citizen or not. I mean, this is where this country is going. Mm-hmm. Checkpoints. Like, what are we doing?
So my husband drives trucks, and he said that his company basically goes out and gets other trucks that are either have broken down or something has happened to them. So he goes and provides relief by pulling that truck to a place where it's able to get fixed. And last week he told me that they were very busy. They inundated with calls because ICE agents were pulling truck drivers over and checking to see if they had their paper, if they were citizens. And so he went to go get a truck, and there was a man that I guess didn't have the correct paperwork. And in the car with him was his 18-year-old girlfriend, who is a citizen. And so he said that the guy, they arrested him immediately. He said it was so fast. He was shocked that, he got there and the guy was already gone, taken wherever, they were taking him. And this is here in around the Georgia area. Wow. The girl was 18 years old. And he said, I told him I'm not going to leave her here because they took him. They didn't care where they had no concern about this.
They don't care.
Woman that they were around Georgia, but she actually lived in Texas. I guess that's where the man was living.
Yeah.
And so she was riding in the truck with him. And so my husband said he waited until, they got everything. And then he actually took her to the airport. But the fact that they would have, and this is in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
arrest this man, not arrest, but take him and leave her. Just leave her on the side of the road without any assistance. And my husband said, I'm not going to leave her. I'm going to make sure she's okay. So he actually took her to the airport so she could get a ticket to get back to Texas. But I mean, just.
Yeah, there's been stories of that happening across the country where they would pull over a minivan with a mom and their kids, take the mom and leave the kids in the car, just leave them there. And bystanders be like, what's going on? And, wait till they call someone. But it's good to, now in today's climate, we have to memorize phone numbers because first of all, we should all take our phones and take off what do you call it?
Where you can find your phone, find my iPhone.
No. When you pull your phone up and you want to open it up, you gotta what do you call it?
Passcode, just your code.
Yeah, and put a passcode in, because what happens is if ICE grabs you, they don't have to ask for any permission. They can take your phone, scan you or whatever, and go through your contacts. Now have all your contacts, and then they'll harass those people in the contacts. So you should just disable that and change. Yeah,
it sounds like a horror film. That we are
but that's what we're going in. I mean, it's just bad out there. We can come back to this another time because there's so many more stories on this. But yeah,
that's very heavy. But I do want to kind of stay in the same
idea. Yep.
Yeah, same idea of just race and the things that we're dealing with in this country. So I did a story for Lenox and Parker. You all please visit the site. As you listen to us, we appreciate you listening, and we want to welcome you as a part of our community. So please visit lenoxandparker.com, where you can see all the different things that we're talking about with even more context. But I wanted to talk about this Hollywood case that has gone beyond viral. There was so much talk about this case this weekend. Actress Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's unsealed court cases court release names included Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and a few others. Most importantly, this conversation has included another, besides Blake Lively, who I see Blake Lively as the ultimate idea of white privilege, and some of that's not. I mean, it's not her fault. It's just how she looks, right? She's young, beautiful, blonde. And that's the idea of what this country really, to me, tries to protect, right? So Blake Lively was in a movie with Justin Baldoni, and Justin is Jewish and Italian. But to me, when I look at this photo, he looks ethnic, right? There's an ethnicity there. And I think we are learning that ethnicity and things extend beyond Black and white, right? And so
correct.
When a thin, blonde, beautiful woman makes an allegation, I think it is conditioned in everyone here, to authorities, people watching, to rush to her defense, right? She is what America wants to protect. And so I just think, I wrote an article about how I don't know what's going to happen in the court case, but right now we haven't even gotten to court. We are in the court of public opinion. And we've been talking about how that really the court of public opinion has been so impactful that people you can lose your job, you can lose your a way to make money, you can end up losing money. I mean, it almost is worse than the actual court, because it could be more difficult to prove something in court than it is to prove something in the court of public opinion. This has been happening for a few months because I wrote about it for another outlet that I used to write for. But just recently, things took a turn because Blake Lively is friends with Taylor Swift. And Taylor Swift these text messages between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively were made public, where they were making fun of Justin, talking about this, his anatomy. And it to me, it's gross. It's just mean girl behavior. It's like, the Clueless movie from years ago. The mean girls that are privileged and have this access and, are basically worshipped by white men, and unfortunately some men of color as well. But it's just interesting how that is the when a white woman is still today, when she makes an allegation, people are not asking for us to wait until the man is proven guilty. He's guilty in the court of public opinion, and he's been from. I talked to someone that is a part of his camp. He's lost opportunities. He's on the verge of being blackballed. Before we're not even nowhere near a court case as of yet, and not just blackballed in the way and with actual opportunities, but the way people treat him. Taylor Swift and Blake Lively together. That's a huge powerhouse. So much,
right, yeah.
And we've seen how sometimes people that are followers of them, they will, in acting out to support this ideal, they will try to inflict harm on the other person. And he's been going through a lot. So I wonder. Let's talk about the idea of ethnicity. Because there's a lot of different it's very nuanced, and I think.
Right.
Wrote this article, I got some people responding to me and saying, well, why do we care about, Justin Baldoni? He's not an African American. He's not someone that actually visually looks ethnic to some people, right? And I guess my argument to that is that could be how you see it. But when you put this picture together with these two people, he definitely looks like someone that the American people would suggest would be doing something bad. He's got darker features. He's got olive skin. She's Caucasian with blonde hair and, greenish eyes. It's the look of it. I'm sorry. It's the look of it and how we respond to that.
Well, you're right. White is a construct. So we know that in America, because America is a melting pot, when you say white, you kind of, if you're light skinned or you're blonde hair, blue eyes, or your skin is light, you're considered to be lumped in with the white crowd. You can pass. If you're a white passing, I would say. And so white's a construct. In most countries, like if he was in Italy or another country, that's a nationality. I'm Italian, so don't call me white because I'm Italian. Don't call me black because I'm Nigerian. I'm nationalities. But in America, because we're a melting pot, we lump the group of people together, light-skinned, white passing as white, and then the other group as, even if you're Cuban, even if you're Hispanic or whatever nationality you really are, if you're white passing, you're considered to be white. Japanese consider themselves in that category. Like, there's a group of people that consider that because of their white passing ability and what America has allowed to fly under the radar. And so even in our community, we deal with colorism as well too. And so I guess in their community, she's white and he's not, even though, but he's Italian. So, and he's Jewish. So there's still some ethnic background that he has that, in his bloodline, that he considered a person of color, if you want to say that. But although he's not a black man or a brown man, but
I would consider that brown. It's how I have a lot of friends that live here and do not. If you say to them that they're white, they will become very upset. I'm Italian. There's
true.
Right. Their culture is very different, and there also is a difference in their physical. The aesthetic is very different. Right now, there are just like there are some fair-skinned African Americans, there are fair-skinned Italians. The Jewish idea is another kind of difficult, very, very nuanced, thing. But I guess my point in this was that I'm going to just read a blurb from it. Blake Lively is blonde, thin, conventionally beautiful, and closely aligned with what American culture has long been conditioned to interpret as safe, desirable, and worthy of defense. That's the problem, in my opinion, because at anything that Blake Lively would say, the masses, to me, in this country are going to rally behind her. And so the allegations are serious. I'm going to pull up the actual, because I want to be clear that this is not saying that this is not about him being innocent or guilty in a court of law. This is about public opinion and how people form ideas based on the aesthetic, right? So in the lawsuit, Lively alleges that Baldani and his production company created a hostile work environment on the set of It Ends With Us, including inappropriate comments, unprofessional conduct, unwanted physical contact, and pressure to simulate nudity during a birth scene. She further alleges that after raising concerns, she experienced retaliation, including what she characterized as reputational harm rather than internal remediation. These claims remain allegations and they have not been adjudicated, but he has denied them, of course. Again, we're not trying the case, and I think that's the case in many situations. With Diddy, right? And I'm not saying it's not about guilt or innocence. It's about how people believe. Cassie is a brown woman, right? That I believe that situation would have been much, much different. His penalty would have been much, much different if the victim was someone that looked like Lively. And then when you add, just like see how you responded. Like, what if
it would have been a wrap? It would have been he'd been under the jail forever. Yeah.
She's a beautiful woman, but she's a brown woman. You know what I mean? And so, but in this case, I feel like we see even the behavior of Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. And Taylor Swift has a ongoing reputation of being of acting out in her white privilege. Now I saw a lot of people on TikTok talking about her and just don't like her, probably because she is very talented. I've been watched her career since she was very young. She's a very talented woman. However, she does enjoy just
she ain't no Beyonce.
Well, that's what
she's not. She's no Beyonce. Listen, talent is
But I just feel like he would have definitely. Tammy says if Cassie was a white woman, Diddy might have received a harsher sentence. It's not might have. He definitely would have. It would have been
probably gotten 20 years, 25 years. Yeah, probably.
I can say this, and you can read more about the case on our website, and I'm sure it's everywhere. It's a part of pop. It's really one of the biggest pop culture headlines, and what's happening is his career is being destroyed, and she's being seen as this victim. There are allegations from other people that she was difficult to work with, and I'm not saying that either of them, both of them should be innocent until proven guilty, but that's just not the way this country works, and so you can visit our site to see more of that. But I remember when I was doing jury duty, I had jury duty. I was forced to do jury duty a couple months ago, and I'm here in rural Georgia, and our case was a case of child molestation, probably one of the most uncomfortable types of trials to have to sit and be a part of. And the prosecution was representing a white male, and the defense was representing a Hispanic girl. At the time, she was 11 years old, but by the time the case got here, she was 17. So in the jury room, there were two women of color, myself and another woman, and one black man, and everyone else was a white male because I'm in rural Georgia. They talked about hunting the entire time we were in there.
Goodness.
After hearing the case, I watched video of a 12-year-old share with a domestic violence counselor what had happened to her. Watching that video was hard. It was difficult, right? But that's what you have to do as a juror. We listened to her testimony. Her testimony remained consistent. In the jury room, none of the white men would agree that this was a guilty verdict. We were deadlocked for 2 days. Remember, I talked to her. I was like, I can't get out of this jury duty because we're deadlocked. And at the point, there were some, I would say, we're talking individually. You saw that video? You really don't believe? Yeah, I think he did it. So why are you not, what are we doing? And at the end, we convinced most of them, but myself and the black woman were the only people that said, he's guilty. Everyone else, and then the black man said, he looked at it, he said, I cannot look at that video and say and give a not guilty verdict. He said, I just can't, because of course we wanted to go home. Point is, I watched these white men struggle with even the idea of putting someone that looked like them in jail.
Yeah,
At the end of it, we ended up with a hung jury, which basically is the same thing as to me as getting acquitted, because he gets to go back and it was a mistrial, a hung jury. I'd have to do it over again, or maybe not. But it reminded me of how this country is still very, very much driven by the white men in power. And even these white men that were not in power refused to put someone that looked like themselves in jail. Not even, and I said, it's not our job to think about what the sentence would be. It is our job to say guilty or not guilty. Do you believe the girl? They did not connect with her. They connected with this white man that was very different than most of the men that were in the jury pool. But they said, I just can't see putting somebody away, and I'm not sure. And it just,
like what Tommy Bowles just said, a brotherhood. And it's true. In this country, the number one person for domestic terrorism is a white male.
Mhm.
They have been a domestic terrorist ever since we've been on this continent.
Mhm.
And
That's how
nothing.
we got this
I'm not blanketing white folks in general. I'm just saying when it comes to our security and threats or whatever, the Civil War, white on white crime, you want to call it that. The Ku Klux Klan. Now you have them as judges and police officers, and it's just, even I remember hearing a story about voting, and you would have to have a person that you were employed by to sign off on your voting privileges. And most of those are white men that would not allow the black woman or black man to vote, because that would mean power and position. So
Right.
it's in this country is still divided on race, because it's still racism in this country. And in a lot of our prisons, the black and brown men locked up, and they have the harshest sentences, and we deal with the harshest part of the law when it comes to women with childbirth and procedures in the hospital. Women get it the worst. Black women get it the worst. We know this by far, and it's just what America is built on. We know this as a people.
We've been doing this.
But whether or not America wants to accept it, that's the other part of the problem. That's the major part of the problem. They don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept that they've been wronging us for this long time. So yeah, you're right. In her situation, white women, crocodile tears come out, and then it's like, okay, here you go.
That my case would have been different if it was a white girl, but it was
way different. Yeah. They're not gonna. They won't convict their own person. They would arrest. I've seen video. You've seen video where there's a police chase of a long police chase. The guy pulls over. He beats up the police outside. He's beating them up with his fist. He's punching, kicking, punching. Gets in the car, drives off again. Comes up, pulls over, beats up the cop again. The cop does not pull his gun one time, but then you see a picture of.
What do you want? I mean, the way we were like, whoa, I can't believe someone would speak to the police like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A black man walks on the street, shot 10 times. It's like, what are we doing? So this is what America has become. And so this weekend, looking at what happened, I said, you know what? The same amendment that white America is so big about, number one, right to bear arms, is going to be the same amendment that's going to bring this country down.
Before we leave this topic, because we've got a lot more to cover in a short period of time.
Let's go.
I just want to say that Blake Lively got married to, had her wedding on a plantation, Boone Plantation. And if anyone knows anything about that history, one of the most probably I don't even know if there's a way to like gauge worse or not with plantations, but it has a history of horrible, just one of the most despicable and deplorable plantations for African American slaves. When it was released that that's where she was having her wedding, she said she was sorry, and then she gave some money to NAACP. And actually, there's a woman representing the NAACP that actually spoke out, and said she's a they did some quick PR, and unfortunately, we are usually open to deal with that. They give a check to the NAACP and a check to this this woman that was part of one of the people on the board, and she kind of gave him a pass. And I'm just like, I'm not saying that she understood that, but the fact that when she became aware of it, it was, oh, let's throw some money at this and go on and make it go away. And I think that's all very much a part of that situation. So we'll definitely keep everyone posted on that. Speaking of Taylor Swift and her not being as talented as Beyonce, Kanye West, who we know years ago went.
Mr. West is in the building.
Mr. West was in the building, said Beyonce deserved the MTV Video Award that Taylor Swift, her first one. Kanye has been, I think, self-destructing for quite some time. But over the weekend, he apologized for years of anti-Semitic and other controversial statements by taking out a full-page advertisement in the Wall Street Journal. Very strange that he chose the Wall Street Journal. In the lengthy note, he says, to those I've hurt, he's speaking about his, that's the title of the letter, was To Those I've Hurt. But he talks about his bipolar disorder, and that he wasn't properly diagnosed to 2023, and that there was undiagnosed and unexamined head trauma he might have suffered in the 2002 car crash that he was in when he first put out through the wire. Mm-hmm. He says, I lost touch with reality. Things got worse the longer I ignored the problem. I said and I did things I deeply regret. Some of the people I love the most, I treated the worst. You endured fear, confusion, humiliation, and the exhaustion of trying to love someone who was at times unrecognizable. Looking back, I became detached from myself. He says, once people label you as crazy, you feel as if you cannot contribute anything meaningful to the world. The scariest thing about this disorder is how persuasive it is when it tells you you don't need help. It makes you blind, but convinced that you have insight. You feel powerful, certain, and unstoppable. He went on to admit that he gravitated towards the most destructive symbol he could find, the swastika, and even sold t-shirts bearing it. So this is a letter of apology to the Jewish community and the Black community. And he actually also blamed his daughter and Kim. So I guess there's apologies for everybody in here. He had released a song called Heil Hitler, but even before that, there were other public incidents involving praise for Hitler and the promotion of Nazi iconography, along with numerous anti-Semitic outbursts and a public fascination with Hitler. In his apology, he continued, one of the difficult aspects of having bipolar type 1 are the disconnected moments, many of which I still cannot recall, that led to poor judgment and reckless behavior that often felt like an out-of-body experience. I regret and am deeply mortified by my actions in that state and am committed to accountability. He went on to say to the Black community, he apologized to us, saying that the Black community held me down through all the highs and lows and the darkest of times. The Black community is unquestionably the foundation of who I am. I am so sorry to have let you down. I love us. It goes on. There's a lot more. He definitely apologizes to Kim. He praises his new wife, Bianca. I think this is a publicity stunt. I think it's another
I don't think it's a publicity stunt. I think this is who Kanye West is. In his to me personally, I think in his sickness or his disease or however you want to frame that, bipolarism, because it's a real thing. I think we have moments of clarity and moments of cloudiness. I think for Kanye West, this is a moment of clarity where he's like, okay, I know I messed up. And like Tommy said, his money's being threatened. Probably is, but I mean, it cost about $200,000 to put that ad in the Wall Street Journal. Plus the Wall Street Journal, I was looking it up, they have about 4.5 million total subscribers across print and digital. So he knows how to get to the audience that he wants to get to because he knows it's going to be widespread and then broken down into smaller fragments of mainstream media, social media.
Can I suggest? I think it's a publicity stunt. I think that
it could be.
trying to, no, I mean, but I'm a publicist, so I look at a very curated piece, sounding very, very like he's in a moment of clarity, right? But the Wall Street Journal, there's a reason that he selected the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal is the paper that shareholders of companies are reading. People are reading, and that's what his money is being affected. One of the things that he did that was done that was crazy to me is that Chase Bank dropped him as a client, right?
Right.
Because of his anti-Semitic remarks. I've never heard of that. It could have happened before. I've never heard of that because Kanye is a multimillionaire, if not beyond. But when you put an ad that is his letter that's supposed to be all this clarity and forgiveness, but you go to the Wall Street Journal, like if he really wanted to apologize and it not be financially motivated, he could have put it. He has followers on his Instagram. He could have went to another outlet. He went to the Wall Street Journal because that's where everyone that's concerned about what their stocks are doing, watching.
It's owned by because it's owned by the Dow Jones. It's a Dow Jones company.
He's trying to find a way to start to patch those old wounds so he can be back, because you can have money, but if you're closed out of that network, it's like with him, his money is no good. When a bank tells you take your money and we don't want it, that is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do. So I feel like Kanye has let us down. Someone said too little too late. He has continued to do things like this, and I think at this point it's all performative for his own gain. With the Black community, I hope I don't sound hypocritical here, but Kanye West is one of those African American men that praises and worships the exotic, the other standard of beauty. He does not find beauty with his own, right? And in that, even with him chasing Kim Kardashian and worshiping that idea, he married another woman that looks like a Kim Kardashian clone. He does not connect, appreciate, or even have respect for his own community, specifically Black women. One of his most famous lines to me, I remember listening, and I love his music. He's talented, but when you get on, he's going to leave you for a white girl. That's exactly what he did. He is the typical Black man who grew up feeling less than, wants to be accepted by white America, and by having a woman that white America deems valuable, he feels like he should be able to be a part of that brotherhood. But what he learned is that he's still not a part of that brotherhood.
Nope, never will be.
You're a wealthy Black man, they still see you as a Black man. Yeah. I'm a wealthy Black man. I have a white woman. I have a woman that you consider attractive. You're still not one of us. And I think that he has turned his back on us from saying little things like that, and how he's moved with his career. Even as soon as he began to grow higher and higher up, his disconnect from his community got wider and wider and wider.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's done so many things that are hurtful to be performative that it's disgusting. Selling swastikas is not. Yes, you could have bipolar disorder. There's a lot of people walking around bipolar disorder. Going out of the way to insult a group of people because you're angry because you can't be a part of their network is not a direct reflection of the bipolar disorder. It's a direct reflection of him and his character. And I do not accept it. Half of the Black
I feel like if it wasn't so much of a stunt or some type of publicity or whatever, he should have started off that letter apologizing to our community first of all, and he put us down to the bottom in a little blurb section, and so I'm like, okay, so you gave this long speech about bipolarism, a long speech about
trying to rationalize and not take accountability for him just being so I think it's but our culture is so backwards. We give grace to those that are talented. Yeah. And I think, he is right about the fact that the Black community did support him through a lot. But it just shows, that's when you hate others or you talk about the Black community, you're just really hating yourself. So there's obviously a lot of self-hate there that he needs to deal with. But I just think if he wants to get healing, and he does, I think there's always redemption for everyone. But as far as getting the support and the financial support that he probably wants back, at this point, he wants people to buy his clothes and and he wants brands to connect and partner with him, I would always say no to Kanye West.
As Tommy Bowles said, we were an afterthought. Yeah, we were an afterthought. Yeah, pretty much. But today is Monday, and so what? Album dropping Friday?
Probably, or some type of fashion that he wants us to buy.
Yeah.
Probably. You know what? I missed that one. I'll go back. But on a funny note, just to lighten things up before we get out of here, lighten them a little bit. There is a club in London, a very popular club in London, where you have to be a man has to be at least 6 feet tall to enter. The Land of the Giants party is a ticketed event happening on Saturday the 31st at Brixton nightclub in Brixton, London, and it's gone viral because of this controversial rule. The bad news is because it went viral, the event is sold out. But keep an eye out for other things. This is happening in Europe. And, that a lot of times America likes to copy that. What I want to ask, as a man, is that insulting to you? I also want to point, before you answer that, I think it's interesting that this is promoted as something that's fun and good. And I've actually been invited to a party, entertainment party, but I won't say the person's name, a big entertainment person mogul, where women had to submit pictures of themselves in order to be gained access, right? We don't want anyone that doesn't look like this aesthetic to come. I felt like that was very misogynist and disgusting. And I remember reading something on Instagram a few weeks ago where these girls all went out for spring break. One of their friends was overweight. The club would not allow her in. So the other girls were like, well, we can go in. We want to go. That is, I think we're so hard on people like that. People were furious. How could a club have those type of rules? Do you think it's different if we do that to men?
So a party is based upon what a person wants, right? It's a party. Countries don't accept people in their countries unless you have a certain money in the bank account. Like you can't go to Switzerland. You can't become a citizen of Switzerland unless you have a certain X amount of dollars in your bank account. So for a party, which is a privately put together event, that person can pick and choose whatever they want. And sometimes it might feel discriminatory, but there's been weddings where it's like, okay, no kids allowed. There's been parties where it's like no one under 18 because there are liabilities that might happen. This one seems to be a little bit more on the playful side. Men 6 feet tall, then the guys that are 5'11" can't go 5'10", because they're trying to attract a certain type of audience. But also, it's one of those things where it attracts a certain audience, right? So if you want to put a spin on something, hey, I have a party and only women that are 5 feet can show up and men who are 6 feet can show up. There's maybe something there chemistry wise, or maybe there's some type of like synergy that they know about. I don't know. Same thing can be said about women who go after ball players.
Well, I think there's this idea
so it's like,
of women wanting a man that fits the 3 6s, right? 6 feet tall, 6-figure salary, and 6-pack abs. And that the man that's fit, got money, and is tall. And I guess I wonder if men mind being objectified. Now you are over 6 feet, so you probably. I'm
6'1", but what I'm saying is in that context, right? So if I wanted a woman who can cook and who is 5'5" and who has who's like 5'5" and 120 pounds, whatever the case is that wrong that I want that per se? Just like how a woman wants a man to be financially secure and be a certain height. Because women have a financial, just face it, women want security and men want, right. So those are the things. Men look at the outward, women look at the inward or whatever. So, and we've been conditioned as children because all the Disney movies, Prince Charming, and he's tall, beautiful looking, tall, and the guys going after the beautiful girl who could sing and who was pretty high cheekbones, and so conditioning happens at a young age. It's in between that where we find who we really are, and we get some type of like balance and some type of direction as to how the world really looks at us. And so men are thought to, you have to get a job, you have to be a provider, you have to make sure that the house is secure, you got to make sure that your woman's secure, you got to make sure your kids there's food on the table, rent's paid, mortgages covered, you have to have these things before we can become a couple. Make sure you have a house, a car, make sure you have a good solid job, and you have money in the bank account before you get married to a woman. Right? Those are the things that men are expected to have. But when men expect women to be a certain way, then it's like, oh, you're asking for too much. Why can't you accept me for who we are? Well, accept me for who I am. I make $60,000 a year. I work as a janitor. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't want that. You have to make more. Well, so society have it all twisted. And that's one of the problems we face in society.
It is.
People can't be who
they can't. But I think that the interesting thing, objectifying men makes it different, because we do. I think women are more attracted to a man's bank account as a whole. I'm not trying to generalize, but I just have to, for the sake of the argument, the conversation. Stability. That women are more attracted to security, specifically when they're talking about marriage, right? And men are usually looking more so for beauty. So I mean, for years, we've seen men discriminate against women based on looks. We talk about that's why Blake Lively and Taylor Swift are so they're at the top of the food chain, because they look like the ideal standard of beauty. But I think when we start to objectify men, I wonder if there will be a backlash. Now I say you can't relate to that because you're 6'1", but I know there are a lot of men that are under 6 feet that feel that don't feel good about that. Even I wish you can stand on if he stands on his wallet, he'll be 6 feet tall. But I just wonder if that's going to be different.
Not really.
To be able to buy tickets to the Soul Train Awards, the last 2 years you have to submit an application with a picture. I didn't know that.
because they probably want to
the audience
viewership. A certain way. Yeah. I mean, men won't face the same backlash, because it's sorry to say, but this is a man-controlled, ran society. First white man, and whatever. So it's a male-dominated, society. So they'll find ways around that or figure something out. But it's like whatever.
Last long. There's a lot of men. The average height for a man is 5'9".
So that's a party. Yeah. That was a party. Yeah. That was a party.
But it was just interesting to see if we flip the script. Are men okay with it? But men are more rational. So you're just like, yeah, we're okay with that, because we want to be visual.
But look at the normal party, which I haven't been to in a while, club scene, right? Women get in for free, and men have to pay at the door. So women could be.
Because
if you look, there you go.
They got in for free, and then the girlfriend didn't weigh that much. It weighed more than the limit, and she didn't get in. And people were saying they were upset. But the girls that can get in don't care, because it doesn't relate to them. So objectify men, as long as they fit that, I'm with it. Well, before we get out of here, I do want to go back to just a part of one of the things we talked about with the Blake Lively case. I had the honor of being able to sit with the iconic, legendary Cicely Tyson a year before she passed. She had just done a movie with Tyler Perry, Felicia Rashad, and it was for Netflix. And so I got a chance to actually sit and interview her and just sit with her for about an hour and listen to the ladies talk. It was definitely one of my career highlights. During that conversation, I asked her about the Me Too movement. This was in January 2020. Wow. And we were just hearing all this with Harvey Weinstein, and everything was really, really a part of the news. How so many white women in Hollywood had been subjected to the casting couch and had been blackballed if they weren't okay with that. And so I'm thinking, I'm asking her something that she's going to be speaking up for women. She's going to give me a great answer. And her answers surprised me. And it actually resonates with some of the things that I mentioned that I'm hearing and I'm seeing on social media. I asked her, did she have thoughts on the movement? And she said, and very, very clear and very directly to me, that is, the Me Too movement is none of my business. And I was shocked. I'm not gonna, I was thrown. I was a little nervous interviewing her, because that's, I was interviewing her and Felicia Rashad, two of my, role models. And she said, I feel like that's none of my business. And she said that when her mother, she grew up and her mother was a maid. A lot of women, Black women back then, were housekeepers.
Right.
And she said that she realized her mother and her mother's friends would talk about how the white women they worked for treated them or mistreated them.
Mm-hmm.
She gave an example of her mother and her friends waiting for the bus to take them to across the town where they were be cleaning these huge white mansions. And she said she would watch them laugh and drive by, laugh when a man would drive close to the street, splash mud, water on the Black women standing there that were actually getting on the bus to go to their neighborhood to clean their houses. And she said at no point did any of those women feel that they should be an advocate for us. And so I mind my business when it comes to that. I mean, she was very, very straightforward, very, very direct and unapologetic about it. She said it had not been her experience, because I do think at that point, even still, Black women, typically we didn't air our business out that way, right? And she said that white women would attempt to weaponize Black women against the white men when it suited them. But outside of that, they would never stand or advocate for us. So it's interesting that it's what she said in 2020. Last year during the election, when the results came out the way they did, I saw a lot of Black women echo that sentiment. And so I'm going to do a piece about that, how her words forecasted came through. And at the time, I didn't really know what to do with that, because I didn't expect her to say that. I was expecting her to talk about, women, but she did not. She would not even allow me to take her that way. She says, none of my business, is none of my concern, and I didn't understand it. I just didn't expect her to say that. And so I kind of was thrown off from my line of questioning, but I sat and listened to her. I have it on tape, actually. And it's interesting how now I understand that even more, just seeing these situations, seeing the situation with a Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. But if something happens to a Black woman, they don't stand up for us. They don't. There was a Black woman actually started the Me Too movement, and she was able to start it, but the face of the Me Too movement to me became the white women that were claiming allegations against powerful men like Harvey Weinstein. So I just think it's something that we should think about. I don't think that we can ever turn our back on other, our humanity, our brother, our people from other races. But I do think when it comes to Black women, we do have to prioritize ourselves, because I think in a lot of cases we are used to push propaganda and agenda that does not necessarily serve us. True. So I just wanted to say
it's a lived experience. They would never understand how we are as people, because they have not lived in our shoes. Even if you're a white woman or a white male, you could never understand how a Black person feels every single day, because it's in our DNA. All the stuff, the trauma we've had over the past 400 years, it's in our DNA. I don't care if you came from the Caribbean, from the South, from the East, from the West. You have trauma that has been unchecked and still continues to this day to be overlooked, because it's like, oh, hurry up and get along. We don't want to hear how you feel. That was so long ago. That's the past. Well, what she said to you was a lived experience. And as you get older, you tend to get, I always say, as I get older, I tend to get less sympathetic, or less, I don't care. Like, the truth is the truth. It is what it is, And so she's right. Like, they're not going to represent you or me. As a Black man, I could never say a white man could understand me or represent me. So I don't look for that from them. I don't look for sympathy, or I don't look for, representation or from a white man. I can have the closest ally. We could grow up together. We could be the best of friends, but you have not lived in my shoes or my forefathers' shoes, so you don't understand what trauma I deal with on a daily basis. The same way how, in a similar kind of way, women, when they go out into the world and they feel all the eyes are on them, body parts and all, everything like that, from men, is the same way how Black people are when it goes out into the white world, because a man can never understand how a woman feels when she goes out in public, why she's always fixing herself or always checking, because she's always being looked at.
Being objectified. And I think
exactly.
That is, so I think women are objectified across the
all
board.
the time.
Right?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Decided, or do you fit in the category of being valued because of your appearance or not? But for Black women to have to deal with being objectified for their gender and their race, that's why the Black woman is the most unprotected, because you're being judged at every turn, right?
Every turn, yeah.
And that's difficult. So we're gonna please go to LenoxandParker.com. We're gonna write about that, because it was just one of those experiences that I thank God that I had to be able to sit with her, in that way. And she was very sharp. And to your point, I think the older we get, the more unapologetic we get about the world. Initially you can be very optimistic and wide-eyed and kind of almost living in a fantasy, because it's hard to believe that people can be as evil as they are, that things can be as strategically crafted to create failure in some people's experience, and like, it's just the whole idea of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is BS. I understand now why, because when you have so much to do to overcome, there really is no strap for the boot.
No, there's no strap for it. Exactly.
No strap for the boot. On that note, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here. Those of you that are watching live, if you're watching on a replay, please go ahead and let us know how you feel about the things that we talked about today. We're all trying to figure out how to navigate, because peaceful protesting is obviously not working when it comes to ICE, and it's just the way the country is being run. If you have comments on any of the topics that we talked about today, please leave your comments. We'd love to read them and want you to be a part of our family. Also, make sure that you go to LenoxandParker.com for the stories that we talked about and so much more. And
subscribe. Subscribe to get updated on the new articles we have coming out. Great stuff happening.
Great stuff coming for Black History Month, Women's History Month, some great things. And if you have an idea, you can always reach out to us if you have something that you think we should feature in Lenox and Parker. But again, thank you all for hanging out with us. Please
thank you.
Make this a positive and productive and fruitful week. Victor, anything big you have planned for this week?
No, just more of what we're doing here and keeping the community going with Lenox and Parker content, updating the websites, just living life. Enjoy your day.
Doing God's work.
Exactly for the people. Yep.
We'll see you guys on Wednesday right here, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Stay blessed. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Peace out. Thank you.